Everyone, my name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and Venom hit digital today. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and you know, Venom is the little movie that could. It really is. Almost a year ago, we saw the first teaser. It wasn't very appealing. The movie went out to go do very, very, very well, especially in China, where I think I actually figured out the reason why. It was produced by Tencent Productions, which is a huge Chinese production studio. So it was co-produced from them. And I think that's one of the things that helped to get a foothold in China, because it was able to work within the confines of that very, very, very oppressive structure. That being said, look, I'm not going to sit there and take away from the fact the film grossed $800+ million worldwide. It just hit digital today. I got my copy of it. There's a review of it that's going to be up on $3 Reviews. A link will be in the video description, so you guys can check that one out. I go through all the special features and talk about it from that perspective. But the question then becomes, what about the future of it, right? Well, what's the future of Venom look like, considering the fact that there's been no official sequel? There hasn't been. There hasn't been an official sequel yet. So that's been announced. We know that there's a couple days that's announced. We got 2020 as a couple release dates. One of them we assume is going to be Mobius, starring Jared Leto. And the other one we assume is going to be Venom 2. But when talking with the screenwriters of Venom, and people asking the question, what about Spider-Man? Well, this is what they have to say. They say here, Venom screenwriter teases Spider-Man's presence in future Sony film. And this is kind of what a lot of fans of the MCU have been waiting for. It's that kind of other shoe to drop, right? So the original contract for Tom Holland's Spider-Man MCU was Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers 3 and 4, and Spider-Man Far From Home. And that wraps up the contract, the agreement that Sony worked with Kevin Feige. Now, the success of Venom ultimately kind of sat there and we kind of messed that up. It did, because the success of Venom essentially basically means that the Spider-Man universe that Sony wants to create can live on. It can live on without the need of the MCU or even Spider-Man. But we're going to find out more here. So it says, not so long, many have said that Venom wouldn't work without Spider-Man. You need to have Spider-Man be present for the Venom character to make sense. It would be confusing to audiences, which I said the same thing, and I was proven wrong. I was proven wrong. I actually rewatched again the movie this morning, and I still liked it, and I was still proven wrong, but I am hopeful for what the future is going to bring. Now it says, well, months and much money at the box office later, audiences seem to have said differently. Venom may not be everyone's favorite neighborhood wall crawler, but the doors are open for Spidey to pop up in Sony's universe of Marvel characters. But yes, that's still the name. One takeaway from Venom and its world is that the people there seem to have no idea about aliens. And well, we know about aliens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially after Infinity War. But with Venom doing so well and Sony plotting a course for its Spider-Man Cinematic Universe, he could pop up either in a Venom sequel or otherwise. Keep in mind that it's Sony who owns the film rights to Spidey, and they're allowing Marvel Studios to borrow them. Actually, yeah, that's true. But they're also allowing Marvel Studios to make Spider-Man great again, because Sony boffed it up in 5 films. They did. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sam Raimi's first 2 movies were fantastic. I enjoyed Spider-Man 3, and I did, for the most part, like The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 quite a bit. And I would have liked to have seen what they were going to do with the third one, as well as Sinister Six. However, bringing Spider-Man into the MCU almost 3 years ago is for the betterment of everybody. But where they take it now is going to be very, very, very up in the air. Now, it goes on to say here that at any point, Sony could pull the plug on Spidey and bring him into their own world. Now, there's no indication that that will indeed happen, but in a recent interview with Discussing Film, Jeff Plinker, one of the screenwriters behind Venom, was asked if the recent Sony Marvel project was in any way connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where Tom Holland's Peter Parker resides, or is a Sony universe of Marvel characters in its own separate world. And this is what he says. He says, without revealing anything that I'm not allowed to reveal, it's not impossible that in a future upcoming upcoming Venom movie, Spider-Man will play a significant role. I think it's fair to say that everyone involved will be very excited by a Spider-Man Venom movie. And they would. They wholeheartedly would. And it makes sense, actually. It really does make sense to want to go and have a Spider-Man movie like that. Because everyone wanted the logo on the chest. In fact, in the behind the scenes for Venom, they talk about that. They talk about the design of Venom, and they talk about the not having the Spider-Man suit or Spider-Man logo, and how that could be a thing in the future. In fact, they were heavily hinting that it could be a thing in the future. So it does tell me that while we may not see Spider-Man in Venom 2, I mean, we're definitely going to get Carnage in Venom 2, but they may set up Carnage in Venom 2 and then in Venom 3 have Spider-Man come out to San Francisco in order to help take out Carnage, which would be a thing. It's considering the fact that Far From Home takes place in Europe and he's teaming up with Mysterio. Having Spider-Man becoming a globe-trotting hero is not out of the question, even though most people just want him to stay in New York City. So the way I look at it's like this. They are going to bring in Spider-Man at some point in time to the Venom movies, or they're going to bring Venom over to the Spider-Man movies. We thought it wasn't going to be possible with the PG-13 Venom movie being as successful as it was. Turns out it did. It really, really, really did. And then we thought that, the same thing probably about Deadpool being PG-13. Everything is going to go PG-13 and go over to Marvel. It just makes sense for Amy Pascal to make this deal work. It's in everyone's best interest to make the deal work. My only fear is that Pascal will get greedy again and try to figure out a way to derail this whole thing. Or she's going to overplay her hand with Kevin Feige, who's going to look at her and go, look, we love Spider-Man, but we already have the merchandising rights to Spider-Man, which they do because they actually Sony ended up selling back the merchandising rights to Spider-Man when they fell on hard times a couple of years ago, and Marvel bought them back. So they've got the merchandising rights to Spider-Man. They make a lot of money off of that, which is why they didn't care about the money earned off of the movie, right? They said, oh yeah, Sony, you can have that. You're fine. You're good. You're good. You're golden. They don't care. They get the merchandising. They got all the rights off that. So that's going to be their thing. And if that deal falls through, then Amy Pascal is going to be stuck with Avi Arad and no Kevin Feige in order to make the universe work. And it's going to once again fracture a known universe within the MCU, which is going to cause problems for Sony. Let's be fair. It's going to cause problems for Sony, not for the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. That will continue moving on and making billions and billions and billions of dollars. So the likelihood of everything kind of carrying on as it is and finding a way to bridge it all together seems to make sense. What I think is going to happen is this. I think Sony and Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige are going to team up, and they're going to start making movies together, probably underneath the 20th Century Fox banner or 21st Century Fox banner, whatever happens. I think that's going to be the more like mature rated films that are going to have more of a crossover. Spider-Man will never be in those movies, right? He's never going to be in them because they don't want to take him out of the PG-13, but they might want to bring him over into X-Men and have that whole thing play out, which would then put him over at Marvel. There's a lot going on there, but I think if they do any kind of darker stuff and they want to bring in any of Sony's characters, they're going to basically work a deal. I think they're going to work a very one-sided trade where it's like, we get to use your characters in movies we produce, but and then you get to make your movies that we'll also produce, but you'll make all the money on, and we get to have a fair trade. That, or they could sit there and just kind of stonewall Pascal to the point of where Spider-Man movies begin to fail once again, as they did with the, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then kind of back them into a corner and go, well, you guys, you need the money and we've got the money, but we want Spider-Man. And I think Amy Pascal sees that as being a possibility, sees that as being a potential situation that could happen, and ultimately doesn't want to deal with it. So she's going to end up maybe going, yeah, we'll not do that. We're going to make this work. If there's money to be made, smart business decisions should follow. I think that the deal between Pascal and Feige was one of the smartest decisions that both studios made. And I think keeping it going is only going to be beneficial for everybody involved. And since the name of the game is money and telling good stories, I think that's what's going to play out. But at the same time, if Amy Pascal gets greedy, she could topple the whole thing over, and I could see that happening as well. But I leave it to you guys. What are your thoughts on this one? Do you think Peter Parker or Spider-Man? I mean, again, they could be either or. Will pop up in a future Venom movie. Do you think we're going to see Venom and Spider-Man take on Carnage, or is that going to be strictly a Venom v Carnage scenario? Let me know down in the comments. If you guys made it this far, type in Venom in the chat so I know. And if you guys want to call into our voicemail line, you can do so at 818-350-3281. That is 818-350-3281. Yeah. So 818-350-3281. Give us a call. Phone lines are open 24/7. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day and peace out.